Gronk no touchdown. They took away Gronk 2 weeks before with probably the second best quarterback, depending on who you ask, of this generation. Because him and Peyton Manning are 1A, 1B. Is flat out. So if they can take away that aspect, and then you add the fact that you have Ted Ginn Jr. faced up against Talib, Jericho Cotchery, it doesn't matter if you put Roby, hell, you could put DeMarcus Ware on Jericho Cotchery at that point, and you still will probably get the same result. I mean, Jericho Cotchery had maybe 2 solid seasons with the Jets.
How long?
Right, So I argue with that, and of course I collected my chips. I argued for like an hour because I'm like, how don't you see this? Like, how are your eyes this bliss to the fact that this team is physically not ready for what they're going to go against? Not till anyone fought, but they don't have enough weapons, And I kept explaining that to the guy, like they don't have enough weapons. This is not basketball.
No. Yeah, one guy can't do it.
It's not like the Cleveland Cavaliers, the top 3 records in the league 4 years in a row, and then LeBron leaves, they only win 12 to 26 games. Like, LeBron accounted for 55 games just by showing up.
Yeah, amen.
So,
but then when you get in a game against a team like the Warriors, you're going to run into trouble.
Yeah, and that's what I was explaining. Like, and then as the game went on, because we're kind of going on, that was my thoughts. Now, as I watched the game, I thought the game was very entertaining. I thought it was a good game. I really enjoyed every aspect of the game, including the halftime show. The reaction.
I didn't even watch the halftime show. I took a walk.
Well, real quick, because I know we're around the same age. Do you remember during the halftime shows when like MTV would have like the celebrity death match, like their big event during the halftime show, and other networks would do things just solely around that 30-minute halftime show to like take away from the halftime show? I kind of missed that. Like,
or as a wrestling fan, anybody remember Halftime Heat when they had the match between The Rock and Mankind for the title? I mean, the empty arena match. The celebrity death match. They used to do all kinds of stuff like that. Now they don't even bother because they figure the halftime show is going to kick their ass either way.
Right, they're so scared of. But I remember that. But yeah, the halftime show was even good. But watching that game, a lot of people, we don't have to talk about the game as much because if you've seen the game, the defensive struggle it was. Both teams played extremely tough. The fallout is what got me online. Now, due to me being a Lions fan, I don't want to hear nothing about bad calls. And with you being a Raiders fan, you guys are cursed with bad calls.
Referees, when it comes, when you're dealing with the 2 teams, the Raiders and the Lions, you can't even talk about bad calls.
Like, we know, and so as I'm reading through, I see a couple posts saying like, thanks to refs for this Super Bowl. And then there was another one like my close friend Alan, he's not a bandwagon. He's born in South Carolina, so he's a Carolina Panthers fan all the way back to the Tim Biaka Batuka days.
There you go.
Yeah, someone posted a picture saying that, to show the picture of Cam, saying this is not the face of a guy who just lost the Super Bowl. This is the face of a guy who was asked to lose the Super Bowl. And he like, you see this? It got to be, look here, it got to be some truth. I say, hold on. If you believe this, you have to be fucking illiterate. Like, I haven't cussed all show, but I can't hold it. And I put this post. I'm like, you have to be almost the silliest person in the world. First of all, let's get one thing understood. If you believe in these wild theories of this team has to win, that team has to win, okay, that's your own prerogative. Hell, my kids still believe in Santa Claus and we don't own a chimney. That's okay. If you believe in these wild antics of they want a certain team to win, hear me out, B. If they want to see Peyton Manning win, why in the FUCK would they want to see Peyton Manning win in a game where he does not throw a single touchdown in the biggest passing era of all of football? If this is Peyton Manning's swan song and you're telling Carolina to lay down, you let Peyton Manning go out there and slay that thing.
Yeah.
Flat out. So for those Carolina fans, I'm going to say this to you guys right now. And hear me good. Don't worry about Super Bowl 50. You guys have the landscape to be back at 51. But what happened at Super Bowl 50, you guys came in dabbing all over the place. Pow, dabbing all over the place. Superman is having so much fun that you guys, including every man on that team, including Derek Anderson with the clipboard, thought the confetti was coming down in your honor. You showed up to that game thinking you already won. And what you seen was a team that just got their asses handed to them 2 years prior. And they wanted to deliver the same type of ass kicking they took 2 years prior. And that's exactly what they did. And then the guy says, dude, I watched Carolina all year. This is not the Carolina team I seen all of 2015. I said, yes, it is. Look at week 16 against Atlanta. It's the same damn score, the same damn result. Y'all got one touchdown week 16. Y'all got one touchdown and a fourth down turnover in field goal range. So instead of missing the field goal, you turned it over in the red zone. Cam was under pressure all day. They took Ted Ginn completely out the game. Gerald Cottrey doesn't even show up. David Funchess from the University of Michigan, I don't know what's his problem. I drafted him in fantasy thinking he'd be a sleeper. It'd be a default number one because he was such a freak and had all these numbers across the board. No, it's the same team. This is the same team we seen all season outside of getting their roll on and crushing through people when Atlanta brung that heat to them week 16. And, oh, baby, if you're a fantasy guy, you know my saying. It's not fantasy, it's reality. You're not watching football if you're not playing fantasy. You remember week 16 because Cam got you to the promised land. He got you to the championship, didn't he? And he laid a fucking egg week 16.
Right.
212 yards, one touchdown. Just in the Super Bowl, he got no touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was it, man. I mean, I don't understand what a lot of people were complaining about. Sure, that catch was a catch, but who knows what a catch is anymore? I personally think in order to go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to tell you, man, it was not a catch. If you actually watch, there's actually a video up there or a picture up there that I actually put up the other day that a friend put up. You can actually see the nose of the ball on the ground. And the rule when it comes to overturning a play is, if there's any evidence whatsoever against the overturn, it has to stand. Now people are going to think that they confirmed that it was not a catch. The referee's exact words were, the call stands. When the referee says the call stands, I'm sure you know this, but when the referee says the call stands, what that means is there is not enough evidence either way to know for sure what happened here, and because of that, we are giving the ball, we're making the same call that we just made. In other words, when they go out there and say it's not a catch, and they can't guarantee that it is or isn't a catch, they have to go with what they said on the field. Same rules in baseball, same rules in football. Same rules in basketball, too, when they go to the replay. So when it comes down to it, there's a picture of the nose of that football on the ground while he's rolling over. And I actually saw it on the first replay I saw it, that the nose of that ball is on the ground. They cannot, if they want to keep any credibility whatsoever, say that there's incontrovertible evidence that this is not a catch, that this is a catch. And that's why they didn't call it a catch.
You sound like you're a referee in the Lions game, because them the type of definition they have to give us with calls.
Well, that's the kind of definition. Unfortunately, those are the kind of definitions that they're supposed to give, because when they say, it's unquestionably, when they say it stands, people have to realize there's a difference between stands and confirmed. Confirmed means we saw it. Stands means we can't see it.
I'm gonna say this. The what is it? The game committee, the whatever it's called, what they call themselves. You no longer know what a catch is or not, because when as the game was playing, I'll tell you, I immediately said it wasn't a catch because I seen the ball moving. Plus, I know the definition of a catch because apparently, whenever Calvin Johnson catches a touchdown, he must come down with both feet, wipe the ball off, hand it to the referee with his ID in hand in order to complete the process.
Yes. Yeah. Ever since they put that language in, you have to complete the process of the catch. They haven't had a goddamn fucking clue what the hell a catch is.
One day it's a catch, one day it's an incomplete. I mean, it's that's all over the place. Speaking of Calvin Johnson, Marshawn Lynch, Marshawn has announced his retirement. Calvin is still pondering. And then this past weekend, see, this is how you like to run the show. You like these rapid fire off the record questions.
Right.
Hall of Fame was announced this weekend. And T.O. missed the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
With the credentials T.O. have, I don't understand how. But we'll get to T.O. But my question is, as of right now, the yards and the touchdowns compelled by both Marshawn Lynch and Calvin Johnson, if he hangs it up, are they Hall of Famers?
You have to look at some things. The thing with T.O., you talk about T.O. not getting into the Hall of Fame. There is a history now of great, no questions asked, Hall of Fame wide receivers having to sit there and wait. The only one that didn't was Jerry Rice. Let's be real. Chris Carter had to wait. Art Monk had to wait. Marvin Harrison had to wait until this year. Plenty of wide receivers, for some reason, do not become first ballot Hall of Famers unless their name is Jerry or Rice. And it has to both be. He's the only one that got in on the first ballot. And so for T.O., he'll probably get in the next couple of years. He will get in. He has too many touchdowns not to. As far as Calvin Johnson, sure as hell he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He changed the game. There's no doubt. He was he broke a Jerry Rice record. You break a Jerry Rice record, you're a Hall of Famer. And as far as Marshawn Lynch, that one's a little more touchy. He definitely became one of the best players in the game, certainly one of the most recognizable players in the game due to the Beastquake run back in the playoffs a few years back, and due to his abilities in the game. But people forget he didn't have he did not have a great career when he started with Buffalo. He kind of came on in the last few years of his career, but as far as a Hall of Fame running back, I think you got to do a little more with yards. I think you got to do a little more with touchdowns. He's going to be a tough call to go in, but Calvin Johnson, I think, is in the Hall of Fame. And good segue, by the way, after the thing about catches, because no one knows about that rule more than Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I brought it up because here in Detroit, they were talking about on the radio this morning, actually about Calvin and a little bit about Marshawn Lynch, saying if Calvin will go in, and some say he won't go in because he didn't do enough, like team wise. And once again, Hall of Fame credentials to me shouldn't be based on exactly team wise. It's what you did as an individual.
No,
and
it really isn't. Let's be real.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that actually got to me when they said that. I'm like, okay, so in the same breath, you tell me Calvin to go in for breaking all the records that he did break, being the most dominant wide receiver in his position since he started in the league with subpar quarterbacks. And then later, Matthew Stafford finally got together. Let's just think about it. Look at the quarterbacks he had to deal with before Matthew Stafford. Before he got a consistent quarterback. 4 head coach change. Calvin Johnson has been double teamed with rollout coverage probably 80% of his career. And
you ever had